Hey brewers, welcome back to the channel. Paul here, and today we're going to take a look at the Nukatap Counter Pressure Bottle Filler Kit. I've had a chance to use this for a few minutes the other day and was really impressed. So, I mean, the box leaves a little to be desired, just a ugly brown box, but Kegland doesn't really go out of their way to make really good branded stuff. So here is the counter pressure filler. It's got a telescopic arm, which is great. So you could fill small bottles, or you could fill larger bottles like this guy here, and anything in between. So in the box, you get obviously the counter pressure filler, and it's a pretty simple device. It's got like a rubber stopper thing here that's going to seal your bottle, and it's got your pressure bleed, and then it's got your beer through and your gas in with a purge button. So when the gas is hooked up and you have this inside of your bottle, you can seal it up and push this button to purge the oxygen out. Now, you wouldn't want to seal it completely when you're putting the CO2 in because you want it to push out the air. But then once that's done, you're going to want to seal it up, put it to pressure so that the pressure in the bottle and in your keg is exactly the same. They give you some different fittings, different ways of hooking it up. This is a growler filler, basically, and that's the first way I'm going to connect it to fill the bottles. So that just screws onto the top right here. And then on the gas side, they give you a duo-tight fitting, so you could go with some EVA barrier tubing. But they also give you one of these guys here. I forget exactly what type of duo-tight fitting this is, but it will allow you to put a ball lock disconnect on it, which is the way I'm going to go about hooking up the CO2. Just clip that in, give it a pull, make sure everything's tight. That's pretty much it. If you have a CO2 tank that only has one gas disconnect, you're going to need two. So let's just turn this off, shut off our CO2 tank. We'll just pull this disconnect off, put on a T, and then we have gas going to our keg, and then gas going to the counter pressure bottle filler. Now don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And we'll get everything hooked up here. CO2 going into our kegerator. CO2 going into the counter pressure filler. Now of course you want this to be all cleaned and sanitized and that sort of stuff. Clean your hands, you're going to be touching this a lot. This is just for demonstration, so I'm being a little lax here. Let's just make sure the CO2 is working. Not sure if you can hear that, but it is indeed working. So let's just go to this tap here, pop it in, get this stuff out of the way. Now the one complaint I've heard from people online is the angle of this doesn't give you a lot of room to kind of put your bottle in easily, and that's kind of true. So you're gonna have to put this up a little bit, get your bottle on there, extend it, because you want to be filling all the way from the bottom of the bottle up. So push on that. It does help to get your bottles cold first. It'll help from too much foam happening rather than room temperature. Get that out of there. I'm just gonna let some beer go through this to kind of get it a little bit cold. So just give me a second here. Okay, so we're just gonna get a little bit of beer through the counter pressure filler just to get it all cooled off. There we go. We'll grab our bottle, extend this again. So I'll just reiterate, make sure your hands are clean or wear like some food grade gloves or something. Re-extend that, you want it to hit the bottom. Then just put this up, don't seal it, and push on this button to purge the oxygen out. That should do the trick. And then seal it up, hold the button, and then open up your tap. And right now I have my, well, you want to keep pressure on that. You don't want that to happen. But right now I have the keg and the counter pressure filler both running at 10 psi. It does take a little bit of time, but you don't get a lot of foam like you do with beer guns. If it's going really, really slow, you could bleed off a little pressure, but then you might get a lot of foam. So it's a balancing act, right? I say just have a little bit of patience. Bleed off a little bit of pressure there. And slowly take it off. And there we go. Very little foam, almost no mess. Obviously you want to put something down. You'll have some drippings here and there. And then just quickly cap it off. And then that'll keep for quite a while. We purged the bottle of oxygen, sealed it up good, so send that away to competition, put it in your beer cellar, your fridge, give it to some friends, whatever you want to do with it. We can just try this on a clear bottle. That's a different size, a PET bottle. I just need to quickly go grab a PET cap. I don't have any right now. All right, back with our cap. Put that down. Make sure that the telescope arm is all the way extended. All right, so I'm hitting the bottom of the bottle. Bring it up. Again, not sealing. Purge with some CO2. Then seal it up, just applying pressure. Hold down the CO2 button, and then open up our tap. Let's purge a little bit of CO2 out of here. There we go. And again, if it starts to slow down, just let a little bit of CO2 out. There we go. And get our cap on. And that's it. Now, if you don't like the way it's set up here with the growler filler attachment, because it's a little bit, you don't have a lot of room to work, there's another way we can hook it up. What I'm gonna do is, make sure that's turned off, remove the growler filler attachment, and then included in the box with this thing is another one of the Duotite fittings and another ball lock disconnect. So we're going to put that on. And then if you have an Intertap or Nukatap faucet, which is what you need pretty much for this thing to work, we can take the tip off, put on a ball lock disconnect, and then just run a jumper from the faucet to this counter pressure filler. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do that. So that is the Intertap or Nukatap ball lock adapter. We'll just screw that right on here. And then I'm just gonna go make a jumper cable that's gonna have 2 ball lock disconnects with a little bit of tubing in between. I'll be right back. All right, so this tubing, way too long. I'm gonna cut it right here. And again, you'd wanna make sure all this stuff clean and sanitized. I'm just making a quick demo here, so I'm not too concerned about it. All right, so we have our jumper cable. You know what we need? Some keg lube. This will make everything a heck of a lot easier. A little bit on this O-ring here, and a little bit on this guy. Now in theory, this should go on a lot easier. Look at that, never fails. And then one thing, I don't know if I mentioned, there's no on-off or way to stop the beer from going through this thing other than by closing the tap itself. There's no button for that, just for the CO2. Just keep that in mind. Because if you forget to turn off your faucet, it'll just start pissing beer all over your floor and nobody wants to deal with that. And so now we have a lot more room that we can work with. Step one, make sure this is extended all the way. There we go. All right, then we'll seal it up tight. And then start the beer. Oh God. That is not good. All right, let's figure out what's going on here. This keeps getting better. Okay, I'm gonna clean this up and get this tubing out of here. Okay, so I have two theories about what just went wrong. It's either one, this isn't cut quite straight enough, so I'm gonna recut it, nice and straight. Two, I didn't have it properly connected. Or three, this disconnect is faulty. It happens once in a blue moon, but I have seen them just fail without ever being used before. So I'm gonna put it back in, really make sure that's tight this time on both sides. And now just to test, I'm gonna see if anything happens here. Okay, we should be good. Okay, we'll connect it again, repurge our bottle. Okay, seal it up, add our CO2, and then open this up. And this time beer didn't go everywhere, so I like it. Okay, I basically want to get the beer about up to here on the neck of the bottle. Shut off the flow of the beer. I should have did that a little bit more slowly, but hey, that's why we have this towel.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
There we go. Okay, I think that pretty much sums it up for how most of you would use this thing. Another way you could hook it up to your keg, let's say you don't have Nukatap or Intertap faucets, or you just didn't want to do it this way, you can just make a jumper ball lock to ball lock like I did here and fill directly off of your corny keg. The one thing you're gonna have to keep in mind is that as soon as your bottle's filled, you're gonna need to pull this disconnect. Otherwise, as soon as you lift this up, it's gonna start spraying beer everywhere. Same thing if you wanted to fill from a Sankey keg. The Sankey keg has a lever that would allow you to engage or disengage. So engage it, fill your bottle, then disengage, and you can move on to the next. But that's just, if you don't have Nukatap or Intertap, you can still use this. You just have to pay attention, make sure you take this disconnect off or else it'll leak beer everywhere. Okay, this is probably a terrible idea, but I have the parts, so I figured let's try. There's also a Duo-Tight inline shut-off valve. This is designed for CO2, not for beer. And what I'm pretty sure is gonna happen is there's some parts in here, and as soon as the beer hits it, it's gonna create a nucleation point and it's gonna foam like crazy. So this is probably a horrible idea, but I gotta know. I'm just curious at this point. All right, so far there's not beer all over the floor. It's looking good. Raise this. Okay. Will my CO2 reach? Yes. Okay. Quick purge. Okay, now in theory, when I open this valve, beer should go into the bottle, which is happening. And it's actually not foaming like crazy. There you go. It actually does appear to be working. I'm just gonna let it fill a bit more. Now the question is, can I close this valve with one hand? And it seems like I can. Okay. That worked. I'm honestly surprised. I guess because it's a counter pressure filler, Even if there was some foam being made by this piece, it wasn't too bad. So yeah, do this at your own risk. But if you have a keg, you don't have Nukatap intertap faucets, or you just don't want to bottle it that way, this does seem to work. If you try it and it does, please let me know. I'm really curious. If there's another way, I'd love to learn. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you have any questions, reach out, leave a comment. I do my best to get back to every single one of you. Cheers.